Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Americas. Here's a look at today's show. As Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is re-elected for a second six-year term, we'll look at how the oil crisis has plunged close to 90% of the population into poverty. Then American literary giant Philip Roth died this week, aged 85. He became an icon in the U.S. thanks to books like American Pastoral, The Human Stain, and Portnoy's Complaint. And football legend Neymar is back in action, coming off of a foot injury to try and give Brazil a boost ahead of next month's World Cup. I'm Jeannie Godula. We'll start first in Venezuela, where Nicolas Maduro was re-elected president this week. One of his first orders of business was the expulsion of two top U.S. diplomats, retaliation for a new round of sanctions slapped down over the vote. That vote was widely condemned. Maduro was re-elected despite the economic crisis crippling the country, and that's left Venezuela with the world's highest inflation rate and put 87% of the country's households into poverty. Surprising statistics for a country with the biggest reserves of one of the world's most coveted resources, oil. Aaron Ogunkeye explains.
Venezuela holds one of the world's largest oil reserves, but production is in free fall. Punto Fijo, home to the country's largest refinery, looks more like a ghost town than a bustling oil hub. State-owned oil company PDVSA is on the verge of bankruptcy. Its creditors have even threatened to seize its overseas assets.
10 years ago, all those chimneys over there were spewing smoke and vapor 24 hours a day. Now there's nothing, because we're not refining any oil. The refinery is paralyzed.
National oil production has fallen by 50% over the past 10 years. For some, the drop in production signals the failure of Hugo Chávez's socialist experiment, which led to the disastrous management of the state-run firm. Its employees explain how the seeds of failure were sown.
Es ideológico completamente.
Ideology comes first. All of the chosen bosses were close to the ruling party and didn't know anything about oil. For Chávez, it doesn't matter if you're a good technician. What's important is that you know everything about communism, socialism, or Che Guevara.
The sharp decline in oil prices in 2014 added fuel to the fire. Once stable employment with the state oil company became increasingly uncertain, and salaries collapsed, along with the country's economy.
3 years ago, we earned $1,300 a month.
And today, in comparison?
Today, $6. Just $6.
The paradoxical consequence, Venezuela is now required to import crude oil. And many citizens of the country with the world's largest oil reserves are left fighting or dying from starvation.
Let's take a look now at some other big stories this week out of the United States. There was a first in Georgia as Democrats have now given Atlanta lawyer Stacey Abrams a chance to become the first black female governor in American history. Abrams set new historical marks with a primary victory that made her the first black nominee and the first female nominee for governor of either majority party in Georgia. Voters also picked female nominees in Kentucky, Arkansas, and Texas ahead of the midterm elections in November. Another first for women this week with another Stacey at the New York Stock Exchange. Stacey Cunningham was named the first female president in its 226-year history. Cunningham moves up from her job as COO. She first started working at the NYSE as an intern in 1994. The announcement now means two of the world's best-known stock exchange operators will be run by women. Adana Friedman became chief executive of NASDAQ last year. And Janet Jackson got the Icon Award at this year's Billboard Music Awards in Las Vegas. The 52-year-old superstar also performed during the show, her first televised performance in 9 years. Jackson paid tribute to the Me Too movement in her acceptance speech and talked about her faith, thanking God for her career. It was a major moment for Jackson, who's racked up an astonishing number of hits over her decades-long career, more than 100 total number ones. Also this week, an icon of American literature died, prize-winning novelist Philip Roth. The 85-year-old had won close to every literary honor, including the Pulitzer Prize for his novel, American Pastoral. But he was famous for his many other works, including Portnoy's Complaint and The Human Stain. Let's listen now to an excerpt from an interview he gave in 2011, just 1 year before he decided to stop writing for good.
I am afraid of losing my magic after a book, and then I struggle, I find a new subject, and I try to find my magic. I guess a time comes when you do indeed lose your magic, finally. The brain is not as fast, doesn't work as quickly, it's not as rich, that the memory doesn't work well anymore. I don't mean the memory of the past, but I mean the memory of the day before's work, the memory of the page you wrote yesterday. And all those things come together, and you have to stop.
We'll wrap up now in Brazil, where football legend Neymar was back in training this week after being sidelined by a foot injury. He spent an hour on the field outside Rio de Janeiro. The Paris Saint-Germain striker is hoping to give his home country a big boost ahead of next month's World Cup.
Arriving in style, Neymar and Paris Saint-Germain teammate Thiago Silva make their landing for Brazil's first training sessions ahead of the 2018 World Cup. Next stop, the team's official training center in Teresópolis until the end of the month. According to the Seleção's team director, Brazil's number 10 players in shape and ready to play.
We are confident that he will be fully recovered before the first match on June 17th with all the full physical, clinical and emotional conditions.
Brazilian fans were happy to see Neymar dribbling a ball for the first time since February. They feared that the player might not recover in time for the tournament in Russia after having surgery on his right foot in March. Now in the hands of the Brazilian team's medical staff, the world's most expensive soccer player will benefit from a tailored care.
We can put this in his shoe to analyze his foot's pressure points. If one of them, due to the operation, hurts him, the technical commission and the doctors will be able to adapt the training and the physiotherapy to offer relief from the pain.
Neymar and his teammates will have their first 6 training sessions here before moving to London. The center went through a $4 million renovation to host the team until Sunday. Brazil's supporters wait outside of the center, hoping to catch a glimpse of their favorite stars.
I came to support Brazil, the team, to show them that we believe in them. They are going to defend our country. We're still the best country in the world in football.
The 5-time World Cup champion will open the Russia tournament against Switzerland on June 17th, before competing against Costa Rica and Serbia to win the group battle, hopefully paving the way for something that Brazil has waited for nearly 14 years, a 6th star for the Verde Amarelo.
That's all the time we have for this Inside the Americas. We'll see you again next week for all the news from north to south.
Across Africa, presented by Georgia Calvin-Smith.
From north to South Africa, from Bamako to Nairobi, from Accra to Mogadishu. Bringing you all the political, economic, cultural and social news from Africa for a better insight into an ever-changing continent.
Across Africa on France 24 and France24.com.